We're going to help Ukraine build a strong, capable defense across land, air, and sea.
At the NATO summit in Lithuania, President Biden says the group of 7 plans to help Ukraine both in the short term and long term as the country is still at war with Russia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says NATO making it easier for his country to join is a big step forward in that fight. Now, the potential of Ukraine joining NATO and the potential fallout was a focus during the summit. Some of those conversations, including Maine Senator Angus King. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Brian Iacono. He, along with 5 other senators, were in Lithuania and met with NATO leaders for updates on Ukraine's war with Russia. News Center Maine's Sam Rogers joins us live in studio with more on that visit. Hi, Sam.
Hey, Brian and Amanda. Well, following his trip, Senator King says his meetings with other world leaders were very positive, adding a reason he and those other senators made the trip was to show the bipartisan support NATO and Congress have NATO and Ukraine have in Congress. King also explains why the timing isn't just right for the country to join NATO at this moment.
I don't think NATO's been as strong as it is now for 50 years, and we have Vladimir Putin to thank for that.
That strength is only growing. Finland joining NATO in April, and Sweden getting that clearance this week.
So that's a big deal. That was a big step forward.
Moving forward, Senator King says it will be impossible for Ukraine to join NATO in the short term.
If there's an attack on one member, it's an attack on all, and you're then off into a serious multilateral world conflict.
Promising Ukraine membership after the war, King says, also has negative effects.
Putting Ukraine on a fast track to membership could actually up the stakes for Putin and prolong the wars.
Meanwhile, NATO pledging long-term security for Ukraine.
This will help deter any future aggression from Russia after this war ends.
During meetings with world leaders, King and other senators saying every country needs to step up with their support in this cause.
This has to be a case where the NATO members meet their commitments of 2% of GDP expended on their defense.
King adding the U.S. and NATO need to walk a fine line when offering defense support for Ukraine.
Providing the weapons that are necessary for the Ukrainians to win this war, but not provide weapons that would lead to an escalation of the war.
Despite concerns of more civilian casualties, the U.S. will provide Ukraine with cluster bombs. The Secretary of State calls it a temporary stopgap while allies restock other depleting munitions.
If we didn't do it, if we don't do it, then they will run out of ammunition. If they run out of ammunition, they will be defenseless.
Now, Senator King says right now Ukrainian forces are still on the counteroffensive, trying to push Russia out of the eastern part of their country. Brian and Amanda, before President Biden left the NATO summit today, he says that the Western allies will not waver in defense of Ukraine, calling it this war with Russia is one of the world's central challenges.
Meeting that impacts the entire world. All right, Sam Rogers, thanks so much tonight.